1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Do you want me to? I think it makes it really dark on one side.
Let me try that. That worked last time.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Well, I'm already crying. This has been a great start. Welcome to DBL, everybody. That was Andrea Bocelli. I don't know if you know him. He's a tenor. He's blind. He's amazing. He was performing Amazing Grace yesterday in front of the Duomo in Milan, which is usually packed with people. I spent a year there, so it's so interesting to see it all alone. He had a Music for Hope concert on Easter. It is Monday, April 13th. I'm Tori, the only host in the studio, but my fellow co-hosts are safe and staying inside. And two of them are joining me right now. Al and Stephanie, I'm already crying. Good start to the morning. Great for my mascara. Woo! I just want to hear about your holiday weekend. Steph, how was your holiday weekend?
You know what? I made the best out of it. So obviously our Sunday here, our Easter weekend, it was snowing here in Denver. So I've been practicing making something that my mum makes every Sunday. It's called a Yorkshire pudding. So I was trying my best to recapitulate what my mum does. It didn't quite live up to her expectations or standards, but I tried.
I'm proud of you for trying. The Yorkshire pudding is an acquired taste. Albert, how did you enjoy your holiday weekend?
I too made a Yorkshire pudding.
No,
I have no idea. I don't even know what that is. That sounds like something that the mafia would do to you.
Yeah.
He owes us money. Give him a Yorkshire pudding.
Oh boy.
Honestly, you know, it was, and we talked about this on the group chat. You know, I'm away from my kids, and I think a lot of people are away from a lot of their loved ones over Easter. So I don't know if we have the picture, but you know, my kid calls me, my 5-year-old calls me all the time on our portal, and so that's how I spent my Easter. I don't know if the picture's up there. But it's just me basically, staring at an empty chair because he'll call me and say hello and then run out of the room, and I'll just stay there. So,
you're a good daddy.
So that's how I spent my Easter. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of Easter, millions of the world's faithful celebrated remotely, watching performances and services online. So in addition to Andrea Bocelli's amazing, moving concert from Italy, the Pope live-streamed Easter Mass from an empty St. Peter's Basilica, saying, quote, "This is not a time for indifference." Wow, look at that. He also told Catholics about, quote, the contagion of hope. It's a beautiful message. In Brazil, the giant Christ the Redeemer statue was lit up as a doctor, as a tribute to healthcare workers fighting on the front lines. I'm going to cry the whole show. With everyone mostly staying at home, some stars also shared Easter greetings, including everybody's favorite Dolly Parton, that was insulting, who had a message and song for fans. Take a look.
The gates and doors were barred and all the windows fastened down. I spent the night in sleeplessness, rose at every sound. hopeless sorrow, half in fear the day would find the soldiers breaking through to drag us all away.
Her voice is so comforting. Now, another comforting voice, Mariah Carey, also performed one of her hits, Hero, for Joel Osteen's Easter service, and she killed it. Take a look.
When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that. We're kind of in between Mariah Carey and some ghost way. There we go. She had a fan blowing on her even while she was singing in her home studio, which is pretty amazing. But her voice sounded good, Al. What do you think?
Look, Mariah still got those pipes, Tori. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when she first started her career, and just to see where she's come now, I mean, she really is the voice of America. I mean, you think about, I mean, and that might sound like a leap, but she's in everybody's homes over the holidays. Yeah. And she just really, I don't know if anybody, especially like in her prime Mariah, nobody could compete with her except maybe Aretha, who I think is the best singer of all time.
Yeah, Aretha's amazing. I mean, I could do it. Her mom was an opera singer, by the way, Mariah Carey, who has an 8-octave range. So she gets it from, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Here is a look, though, at what's going on with
She get it from her mama.
Get it from her mama. Here's a look at what's going on with the pandemic. The director of the CDC thinks we may be reaching the peak of the outbreak. Here's what he had to say this morning on the Today Show.
We are nearing the peak right now. I think we'll sometime, hopefully this week, we will be able to say that, you know, you'll know when you're at the peak when the next day is actually less than the day before. But clearly the rate, we are stabilizing across the country right now in terms of the state of this outbreak.
That's good to hear. Meantime, you better check your bank account. The IRS said over the weekend that it has started sending out stimulus payments to people who are eligible. So with more than 16 million Americans out of work, a lot of you watching right now, we feel you. Many families are struggling just to buy essentials, including food. Take a look at this. This is the long line of cars in LA. They are all waiting to pick up groceries at a food bank. It goes on and on and on. Similar scenes played out across the nation, including in San Antonio, where this parking lot was full of people waiting in line just for food. Meantime, many farmers are actually dumping food that's not being bought by hotels, restaurants, schools. The nation's largest dairy cooperative estimates that farmers are dumping as many as 3.7 million gallons of milk each day. Farmers in Idaho and Florida are reportedly having to plow their crops right back into their field, and some are trying to donate the excess food but say that food banks only accept a limited amount of perishable foods. Stephanie, England's gone through things like this. We've gone through a depression, seeing bread lines like that. What does it make you feel to see that?
It's truly heartbreaking, and it really upsets me when I know that the situation that where they can't take perishable goods, when there are people literally lining up for hours just for something to eat or drink. It's awful. It breaks my heart. I think definitely something needs to be done about this. That maybe local farmers can like have a gift shop where they can, you know, any produce that would be going to waste, people can go there. I just think there's so much more that needs to be done here when things are literally getting eggs, thousands upon thousands of eggs are getting crushed, dairy is just being poured away. It's ridiculous when literally people don't have money to eat.
I know. I wish somehow you could figure out a way to organize it so it goes like this. Stephanie and Al will check back in with you later. Coming up on DBL, Dr. Payal Kohli is here. She returns to answer more viewer questions about the coronavirus and give us that silver lining. Plus, Emmy-winning sportscaster Joe Buck is using his voice literally to help out during the crisis. We'll talk with him and his wife, Michelle, who I fell in love with later in the show. And as we go to break, check out the U.S. Naval Academy's virtual rendition of America the Beautiful. I'm going to cry. Take a look.
Tuna casserole again?
Welcome back to DBL. I said welcome back, and no one was here to make fun of me, so I'm going to make fun of myself. We are all about facts, not fear, and providing you that info you need. So, who do we have? The one, the only, Dr. Kohli. Oh, in a darling sort of juniper berry. She joins us live again to answer your questions about the coronavirus. Before we get started, Doc, I do want to get to a headline here. George Stephanopoulos, he tested positive for COVID-19. His wife, Allie Wentworth, is also recovering. George says he's never had any symptoms, Doc. How does that work?
So good morning, Tori. First of all, I was hoping you would call it a salmon pain.
Ooh,
because we're
salmon!
sticking with our food theme here. But yeah, you know, when I heard about George Stephanopoulos, actually, I personally was very upset because I've actually had a secret crush on George since I was about 15 years old. But I was very happy to, I was extremely happy to hear that he's asymptomatic. And he's really one of those 81% of people that's either going to have no symptoms or have mild symptoms. Now, we generally see this in younger people that are asymptomatic, but even at the age of 59, it's not uncommon for him to have no symptoms. The other thing to note about him is that he got infected probably from his wife. And we're seeing a lot of husband-wife pairs get infected, or father-child, mother-child pairs get infected. So you have to be real careful if you have someone in your house who's sick. Really keep that distance. He's probably about a week or so into his illness, so it's still possible that he may develop symptoms, but overall it's looking really promising, and I'm really happy George is going to be okay, I think.
I believe you. Like, that smile makes me believe you. I also had a crush on George Stephanopoulos, so we're wishing you well, buddy.
Right. We all did.
We all did.
Yeah.
This discussion brings us right into our first viewer question, and Billy is reading my mind. Do I need to wear a mask outside if he's just walking by himself or his dog and avoiding people at a safe distance?
So it's a great question, Billy. Let me tell you what happened to me this weekend. I was walking in the neighborhood wearing my mask, and this woman rounds the corner, and she was jogging, and she had her mask hanging around her neck. So she had taken it out of the house with the intention of wearing it, but as you're walking or jogging, it starts to get uncomfortable. You can't breathe, so you take it down. There's so many things wrong with that picture. First, don't hang it around your neck because the outside surface is in close contact with your mouth and nose, and the outside surface is probably dirty. Second, even when nobody's around, you have to have that thing on your face. And the reason is because 25 to 50% of people that are spreading the virus don't know that they have it. And so the point of the mask is to not get your droplets out there, because even if no one's around, those droplets can last in the air up to 3 hours. So imagine if George Stephanopoulos decided to go running today without a mask. His droplets could be in the air for 3 hours, and he may not even know that he has the virus. So it's really important even when nobody's around.
Okay, he's a good example of an asymptomatic person that might have it. Really quickly, Esther says, I heard the country could be reopened by May 1st. Seems like a stretch. What's your prediction, Doc? Don't worry, we won't hold you to it.
So thank you, Esther. I don't actually think that it's going to be reasonable to open the country by May 1st. And the reason is because we need 3 T's before we can open: testing, contact tracing, and treatment. And at this point, we don't even have testing for the people who have symptoms, much less those asymptomatic people like George that we've been talking about. So I just don't think we're going to be ready.
That's fair, and I appreciate your honesty. Before we go, you know it's time for Dr. Kohli's Silver Lining L'chaim. And today's silver lining is a good one because it's about money, and I know y'all are stressed. Hit us, Doc.
Yeah, you know, Easter came this weekend, spring is here, and it was, to me, just such a wonderful thing that people finally started getting that stimulus money this weekend, because there's so many Americans out of work, struggling right now, and so it's really the first sign of hope that our economy and our life is going to come back to normal. We'll be okay. We'll get through this no matter what.
Wow, that's really good to hear. And remember, it's not easy for any of us, and we empathize with all of you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kohli. You do look good in salmon, and Dr. Kohli returns tomorrow. So if you have a question you want to answer by the doc, write in on social media or email info@dailyblastlive.com. No panic, just prevention, precautions. We'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. Joe Buck has one of the most recognizable voices in sports. Pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you. The two people who are here. And most recently, he's been lending it to videos called quarantine calls. It all started when his wife, Michelle, shared a pivotal moment with their son, Wyatt. They told me all about it earlier. You got to take a look.
And he wants to watch Blippi, folks. Oh, and he's hit his mom. He has hit his mom. Mom is playing it up. Wyatt is crying. Quarantine day 7. For us, it's about day 13.
Joe Buck and Michelle Weisner Buck join us now. Welcome to DBL. Oh man, that was hilarious. Michelle is the feature reporter for Monday Night Football and a mother of 2 twin boys. Is it easier to wrangle professional athletes or a pair of toddlers?
I think it's easier to wrangle my 2 toddlers because I have some control over that.
That's true.
He doesn't play in the NFL anymore, but there was an athlete that the NFL lost recently, Antonio Brown. I once waited for him for 6.5 hours before we started the interview. So I'll go toddlers any day. I can put my toddlers on a leash if I have to. I mean, there are options there.
We've never done that, by the way.
We've never done that.
Never done. We don't
It's just
condone
an
that.
option.
I don't like seeing that in malls.
I don't either.
It just freaks me out.
Can't see it.
All of a sudden, the news is the Bucks use leashes on their children. Joe, quarantine calls were inspired by Wyatt, but now you're calling all kinds of videos. So how is that going? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's something to do. We kind of joked at the beginning, like it was keeping me fresh with my play-by-play calls. But I think the bottom line is it's just kind of a diversion. I feel like without sports, everybody needs some sort of a diversion out there. And then I tacked on a little charitable arm to it. So if somebody like this guy, I did play-by-play, this kid throws this, whatever it is, basketball into the hoop. If they get their video put back on Twitter with my voice on it, they have to make a donation to a charity of their choosing. I can't really follow up to make sure they do it, but why not try to raise money for so many people that are in need right now?
That's such a smart idea. Now, other than wrangling, what have you both been doing to pass the time? Is there like early happy hours? Are there puzzles going on? Any needle point working? What's going on? All of that?
Yes to the happy hours, no to the puzzles. I mean, I find that happy hour becomes earlier and earlier every day.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clock at 11 and going, is it too early to pour a glass of wine in my coffee cup?
Yeah. Well, we're also arguing a lot.
That's fine.
We're spending a lot of time. We're social distancing most of the time just because we don't want to be social with each other.
That's right.
Okay, this is fair.
No, we're good. He is finding out though that I'm not a natural blonde, which he wasn't aware of.
It's
before.
ombre.
Me either.
It's ombre. First of all, it looks fantastic. It's supposed to be there. It's totally ombre. Let's be honest. A lot of people are dealing with being with their spouse. How are you handling fights? Is there like let's give each other slack, or do you just literally go to different rooms?
Well, we fight very differently.
Okay.
First of all, we love hard, we fight hard. But when I get irritated or upset with my husband, I tend to close off, shut down.
Now you're making her mad all over again.
Right. I don't want to talk to him. This is his move though, Tori. He likes to say, tell me what's wrong. I know there's something wrong. Just talk to me. So then when I finally break down and tell him what's wrong, he has no patience for it, becomes very defensive, and then storms out of the room. And so, and then we just take some time.
I have therapists for this. I don't need to talk into my computer on a nationally syndicated show to reveal all of my flaws.
I expect some pay for this, and I love that you just did the Friends bit there, Michelle. That was hilarious. Right there with you. Joe, you have spent more time in people's living rooms. That sounds super creepy, but it's not, than your own family. So how does your podcast, Daddy Issues, show a side of you we're not as familiar with?
Yeah, well, we just started it up. I've got daddy issues. I followed my dad into the business. I hosted with Oliver Hudson, who's Kate Hudson's brother, and Goldie Hawn's son, and Kurt Russell's son. And
he's got some daddy issues.
He's got daddy issues. He's got sister issues. So it's kind of a common theme that runs through everything. And it's available wherever you want to waste your time listening to podcasts.
I love how honest you got. It is good.
Really good.
And I need podcasts on the way to work. I also have a lot of issues, so I'll be tuning in. You guys have been delightful. I hope we're secretly friends in my head. Joe Buck, Michelle Beisner Buck, thank you so much for being here. We will be right back. Bye, guys.
Promotional.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. This one's serious, guys. There's a new coronavirus scam out there involving people posing as health officials in order to get your personal information. So the scammers claim they are part of the Department of Public Health. They try to get inside your home, claiming they need to inspect it for COVID-19. Once they're inside, they either steal from the homeowner or get personal information. Remember, and I know this sounds silly, but please remember, never let someone inside right now you don't know. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Americans have lost nearly $12 million this year to scammers during this pandemic, and $7 million in just the first 9 days of April. So please, excuse me, take this seriously. To protect yourself from fraud, call LifeLock at 1-800-438-1089. Now they're at your door, Al. I know you have LifeLock. Are you so glad you signed up with it before?
I'm really glad I signed up with LifeLock because not only are they at your door, but think about how the people that are still working, people are working from home, they're now what? Using their Wi-Fi, and that makes you subject to have your information stolen like that. I mean, it's so sad that the people that are trying to work or out of work and trying to get by are still subject to predation by these thieves. But you know what? Things like LifeLock are helping protect us, and I really appreciate it. It's sad, but this is the world we live in.
Steph, I'm thinking about getting LifeLock. How about you?
Oh, I think it's so important, especially after hearing that. Don't let anyone in your home, seriously.
Yeah,
please, please.
Very important. All right, thanks, Alan, Steph. We want to end the show in some uplifting music. It's Pitbull. He's bringing everyone together during this difficult time with his new song, I Believe That We Will Win. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.